Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to Be Determined. In today's video, I'm going to guide you through all of Hina's quests and show some of the best ways to get those quests done. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So when you warp to Galatea, the first thing you'll notice is Hina right here. She's the one who gives you your Heart of the Forest at the start. After you've claimed the Heart of the Forest, she will give you access to Hina's chapters, which have a bunch of rewards throughout them. But when you first start off, you'll only have access to chapter 1, which to complete this, you basically just have to do the start of all the quest lines. I have a separate video that I made on the quest lines whenever the update first dropped, so I'll try to have that linked in the description or as a card on the screen right now. But make sure to check that out if you don't know how to do these. But once you're done, you'll be able to claim the chapter 1 tasks, which gives some Heart of the Forest XP, SkyBlock XP, and other pretty nice rewards, and unlocks chapter 2. In chapter 2, you'll have to break down 10 fig trees, which is explained in the quest line. Basically, you just break the trunk first and then break through the top of the trees just like this, and then the tree's done. Once you've done that 10 times, you'll get access to this quest to be done. Then participate in a daily Agatha contest. For this one, all you have to do is literally break one tree at any point in time and you'll have this one done. You'll have to wait till the contest is finished, and then you can go over to Agatha, who will be over here in the middle of the swamp, and you can claim the reward right here. You'll also have to take down 10 chill shots and chill blades, so these guys will be over here by Nemo. So you can see the location right there, -615, 89, -7 for where I'm at right now. And you just turn around and go inside this cave, and you can find the chill shots and chill blades right here. Kill 10 of those and you complete the quest. Next up, you'll need to catch 5 verdants and 5 azures. For that, you're going to need a fishing net, which you should have gotten from the quest line. And then you can just swim around inside of the water area here and look for these guys. This is the verdant, the green one. You just catch them with one throw of the net. And then this guy is the azure, the blue one. Catch him with one throw as well. And that's all for chapter 2. So let's go ahead and move on to chapter 3. For this one, you have to break down 100 different fig trees, so it's going to take a little bit of a grind. Also, you'll have to reach uncommon in Agatha's contest. Pretty easy to do. You should be able to do that with 10 trees broken in a single contest, which is a 20-minute thing, so very easy to get that. You'll also have to hold a fig hue from the fig collection. So this is unlocked at 5,000 fig logs, and it is the first version of the fig stone splitter, the best axe in the game currently. So definitely want to make sure you get your hands on this. It's not too expensive. After that, you have to collect berries from berry bushes. So just go around the island and find these little bushes right here. Just break until you get 50 of those. It'll pop up with a message in the chat whenever you're done with a quest. So just keep an eye out for that. And the next one is the one a lot of people are having trouble with. Obtain a shard using a lush lilac bonbon. So if you look at the chapter 2 rewards, you'll notice you did get a lush lilac bonbon. This is one of the salts from the berry collection. So you can either use that one that you get from the quest, or you can try and craft the lower version or the same version, or eventually once you get 500 collection, the maxed out version. Now what I would recommend doing is just going around in the chill blades area if you don't have a mob the fish captured yet, because for one of the later quests you'll have to catch a mob the fish, which is a 1 in 2,000 drop from any mob on Galatea. So if you haven't gotten one of those yet, it's a good idea to go around and start working on that by killing these chill shots. And then eventually you'll get a message in the chat that says salt. You charmed a chill and captured 2 shards from it. Now make sure it says salt at the start. If it says charmed or something like that, anything that's not salt, then it isn't going to count. So it's got to say salt at the start. It's not bugged out. That's just how it works. Next up, there's the mossy bits, which are just the frogs that you can find along the outside of Agatha's swamp. So you can just wander around this area out here, this path, and just look around, maybe in third person, see if you can find a frog just like this. Just click on them and then keep following them around, clicking on them until eventually you'll get a chat message just like this. It says the frog is exhausted, you'll get some shards, and he'll disappear. And the last quest in chapter 3 is find something on the ground. If something shines on the ground, click on it. So you'll just want to kind of teleport around the upper areas here, just looking for something shiny. And eventually you'll find a block like this that has like some string texture sticking out of it and these green particles. Just click on that. You'll either get mangrove logs, fig logs, invincibugs, or mudworms, something like that. But once you find one of those, the quest will be completed and you'll get all the rewards. Now for chapter 4, things get a little more tricky. You gotta do 250 fig tree gifts. It'll take a little bit of time, but it's not too bad compared to the later quests. You also have to get up to rare in an Agatha's contest. So if you're struggling to do this with fig trees, you can try and do it with the berries. But generally, if you've got a fig hue by this point, you should be able to do it. Then you'll have to get 50 sea loomies, which is these sea pickles underwater. You'll just have to go up and break 50 of these until you've gotten all of your sea loomies, and then that quest will be done. Next up, you have to fish up a wet wing. So these guys can be caught anywhere in Galatea. You just have to be fishing level 7. So just grab your fishing rod, your fishing setup, throw it pretty much anywhere, and odds are you'll catch a wet wing just like this. Then you can just kill them with your axe, and that should finish the quest. The next one requires you to buy a shard from Kiara. So if you're at Agatha right here looking off towards the dock, you can see her house is right up here. This is Kiara's house. So you can just go up here and make sure to buy a couple of shards from her. Just one shard is fine, but I recommend buying all of these shards every day. They're usually going to be profit and good for some fusion. Next up, you have to catch a cod shard. So if you do have a maxed out turbo net for this, I would recommend going into your hunting box, searching for the eel, and then right click this to turn this off, because this will increase your pool by +10, which is good for most shards, but for cod specifically, it's a bit annoying. So if you have that turned off and you have a max fishing net, all you have to do is find a cod and throw your net at it twice and it'll get caught. If you don't have a max fishing net, you just got to keep catching it until it gets up to above 90%, but it doesn't bust and go over 100%. So you got to be in between that little area there. Next up are the salmon shards. Now these guys, you don't have to worry about spinning them too fast or anything. All you got to do is just go up to them and throw your fishing net on them a few times until they get caught. Depending on the level of fishing net, you might have to throw it a few more times than others, but they are not difficult at all to get your hands on. So that's a pretty easy quest. Next up is tune a beacon. So if you haven't done this before, the beacon is over here. I mean, you just look up and eventually you'll be able to see it, but just go ahead and click on it, go to tune frequency. First thing you'll want to do is make sure that it's the same color, so they're both purple. Then we're going to try and make it so it's the same speed. So I believe this is moving at 3, so we're going to pause it, turn it to 3, unpause it, and they are moving at the same time now. And then you just spam click the pitch until eventually you get the rewards. And the final quest is to level up a perk in Rosemary's shop. So go ahead and head up to the Forest Essence shop here on the very top of the island. It is this giant stone pillar up here. Rosemary is right here, and you can just buy any of her perks. I think when you first start out, some of them are as cheap as like 100 or maybe even less than that. So it doesn't cost too much money to get 100 essence if you haven't got it yet. But with all the trees you've broken by now, hopefully you've got your hands on this one. But after you've done that, that'll be enough for chapter 4 completed. You'll get a bunch of XP and stuff for that, and unlock access to chapter 5. For chapter 5, you're going to have to break 10 mangrove trees, and these guys are a little bit different from the fig trees if you didn't know. Let's head down to the mangrove area. And for these ones, you break from the top down instead of the bottom up like you do with fig trees. So we're going to start with the branches and then go to the trunk area and then break down the roots afterward. So a general good route is to just go in a circle around the Agatha NPC right here. It's usually pretty good, but if this spot's taken up, there's another good spot over here to the opposite side of where Agatha's at. So her dock is right here. If you just go on the opposite side of the dock back here to the south wetlands, you can see it says south wetlands on the right side. You can just teleport between these trees and do the same thing. You'll also need to reach epic in Agatha's contest, which shouldn't be too much of a problem at this point. Get your hands on 50 sweep, which if you're having trouble with this, a good step to take is to head over to David Hunterborough's area over here and make sure that you get your hands on unique attributes. As you can see his milestones right here, for a certain amount of unique attributes, you'll get a bunch of sweep. So once you've got a lot of unique attributes, you'll be getting a ton of sweep from David's Cloak, eventually to the point where you're getting 100 sweep at base plus 2 from the booster. So that's a great way to get sweep. Next up, you'll need to get your hands on a fig stone splitter. This one's unlocked at 25,000 fig collection. It's going to require 4 of these fig stones to get your hands on, and it'll be an upgrade of your fig hue. Definitely worth getting, so make sure you get your hands on it as soon as you can. Next, you'll have to fish up a flex bone in the tomb floodway. So we're gonna head back down over here to Nemo and then go into the chill blade area, and then to the right there is this section, the tomb floodway. And for this, a big thing that people are missing out on, first off, you can't catch sea creatures here, so make sure to wear your fishing armor. Doesn't have to be trophy hunter or anything. You can just wear your normal fishing gear. And also make sure when you are on your fishing rod that you do not have a junk sinker on. If you have a junk sinker on, you will only catch junk flex spawn is not junk. So you will not be able to catch it if you have a junk sinker on. So make sure that is off. If it is not off, you need to go to Rhodey on the Bayou Island and get that taken off of your fishing rod. But then you can just fish here until eventually you catch something good, specifically the flex bone, of course. And your next quest will be to catch hidden leaf shards. So for this, you'll need to find a shulker. They have a ton of spawns around the island. There's 3 spawns right by this tree over here, though. So sometimes there will be one spawned right here. Sometimes if you go back to this section, there's one down here. And then there's another spawn on the back side here that will spawn right there. But you can usually just teleport around the island and kind of look around the edges of the cliff faces and stuff. Maybe you'll find one in this section. Here's one right here. So you just stand on the edge of the block if it's on the edge of a block. If it is not on the edge of a block, you'll have to just kind of jump on it over and over again until eventually it opens. But if there's 2 blocks next to it, then you can just shift off the edge of the block and then it'll open up. Jump up above it or just somewhere close by within like 5 blocks and just click the projectile back at it until it closes and you get the shard. So you have to get 5 of those shards and then we can move on to coralots. These are the axolotls that you can find around the island. Some of them will spawn here in the big lake area, but they're usually a little tough to get your hands on just because there's other people swimming around all the time getting them upset, or they're swimming around and you can't stand close to them for long enough. So I recommend going back to this south wetlands area. There's usually a couple of them chilling in this section. If you don't find any, then you can just lobby swap, or you can head over to the opposite side of the island over here, and there's generally a couple in here. So here's one right here. So for these guys, all you got to do is just stand completely still close to them. You can see he's got the red exclamation point right there, but as we stand close to him for a while, it turns yellow and then disappears, and then you can catch him. So you need 5 of those shards, and then we can move on to dreadwings. Dreadwings are a little tougher to get. I think they're about 1% chance to spawn whenever you break down any type of tree, but you can either catch them with a lasso, or you can actually hit them with your main axe and then catch them with a pocket black hole. So here's a dreadwing. So if you want to smack him with the axe and then catch him with a black hole, you can do it that way. Or you can just throw your lasso on them just like any other of the phantom types, and it'll work that way too. But the axe way is much faster usually. After you've got your hands on 3 of those shards, you can move on to mudworms, which again you find from the little strings and green particles sticking out of the ground. So you can just teleport around the island, keep an eye out for them. They're always going to be on the grass blocks, so you won't find them like sticking out of clay blocks or anything. And it is not a guaranteed drop from them, so you might have to open a couple of them, but you'll have plenty of time to look for them while you're chopping down those 250 tree gifts. But occasionally you'll get mangrove logs or mudworms out of them just like that. So if you get the mudworm, that's all you need for the quest. And then we can move on to obtain a shard using a hunt trap. So the hunt trap NPC from over here, Dak, he will give you a hunt trap for free for completing his quest. But you can also make a bunch of them from the Tinderwood collection. You can make up to 5 for you to use, and they go all the way up to legendary, reducing your capture time by 50%. So you'll just have to put this down somewhere and eventually it'll catch something. Once you claim it, the quest will be completed and we can move on to obtain a shard only obtainable from a fusion. So a good one to go with for these is any of the elemental fusions. Most of them cannot be gotten from anything else, but most of these options will be good for the elementals. So you can just fuse a vampire with a mossy bit and that'll give you access to groves. So that's a pretty easy one to go for. Or you can fuse it with salmon and that'll work as well. Or even just fuse a mossy bit with cod. Like mossy bit with most things on the island is going to get you access to some form of elemental. So make sure it says elemental at the top and you should be able to get an easy fusion out of that. And finally, you'll have to apply a booster. So if you haven't done this yet, then you can head over to the foraging NPC over here, Sawyer, and buy a foraging fortune booster from him, and then just apply that on an anvil to your figstone splitter or any of the items inside of this menu. So you can put it on a canopy mask or fig striders, anything like that. So if you've already done this quest and it didn't count retroactively since the update dropped, then I would just go buy a canopy mask from the canopy NPC, which is over here in the town right here. You can just buy a canopy mask right there, or canopy boots are a little bit cheaper. Just bring that back over here, get your hands on a fortune booster and apply it there. And that's all you got to do for chapter 5. So let's go ahead and move on to chapter 6. For this one, you have to break down 100 mangrove trees, get legendary in Agatha's contest, which should be pretty easy by this point, and then become a Starborn Temple benefactor. So if you haven't done this part yet, you'll have to teleport over to Agatha's area and then swim down to the bottom section into this section right here. And this is the temple. And then you're going to have to click on these lanterns in the right order. So first is this one next to Tylus. Then it's going to be this one up here. And then over on the other side, click on this one here. There will be a third one on the top and the last one over on the top right side. Then you'll get access to enter the temple. And this altar will have something that says like, what does this do? And in order to access it, you'll have to make the floor look the same as it looks on this up here. So first change this one, and then that's good. Swap this one around until it looks the same. And then you'll get a loud audio cue and the temple altar will open. All you got to do is click to donate and just donate at least a day's worth of donations. And on top of that, you'll get access to all of this extra foraging fortune. After that, you'll need to get at least 100 pressure resistance. A good way to do this is, of course, buying the gear from Nemo. The whole snorkeling set gives 40 base pressure resistance plus the tiered bonus. On top of that, you can go and swim down to this section here with the end stone and start swimming past this. And over in the stalagmite section here, you'll be able to find Lumi squids. And whenever you catch these guys, their shards are going to be useful for getting some pressure resistance. So it's a good way to get that. Also from Sea Lumi collection, you'll be able to unlock the upgrades to that armor set, be able to get your hands on the diver's gear and eventually the abyssal gear, plus access to the pressure artifact and its previous versions that you can get your hands on for some extra pressure resistance for pretty cheap, as well as the enchanted book for scuba that gives pressure resistance up to 20 if you have level 5 on the whole armor set. On top of that, in the heart of the forest, there is also a perk that gives pressure resistance. So if you level this one up, you can get even more pressure resistant. And that will be useful for killing the drowned creatures. If you just dive in the water over here, there is a section that has a drowned in it. You can just use your regular axe if it's a figstone splitter at this point, and then just smack the drowned. And you should one-shot them if you have your magical power set to a melee power. It's pretty easy to do. They only have 5k health for the most part. The healthiest ones have like 6k in here, but they're not too difficult to take down. After you've taken down 25 of those, you'll get that completed. Next up, you'll need a piranha. So there's a pretty easy strat you can do for this. Just make sure your fishing bag is completely empty of everything except for a wooden bait. And you can just throw these fish baits elsewhere because they can't be in your inventory either. I don't think that this is intentional. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say the wooden bait is kind of buggy right now, but it only seems to work if it's the only thing in your fishing bag. You can get it from Rosemary right here for 100 forest essence apiece or on the bazaar. And for this one, you don't actually want to go down to the Flexbone Cave. You want to head over to this area, the South Wetlands. And if you actually sit in this water right here, it will say you're in Moonglade Marsh. For some reason, that makes it so you catch shiny fish and piranha shards super duper easy, and it's actually a pretty solid money making method as well. But it helps if you have the treasure hook on, so that'll only allow you to catch items and treasure. And if you don't have that, then make sure to put on a trophy hunter setup. You can still try and catch it in the flexbone area if you don't have access to either of those things, but it's gonna be a bit tougher, so that's the recommended setup. Next up, you got to catch strider surfer shards. So for this, you'll need to use a hunt axe and a black hole. So just bring these over to the strider area. You just swim down into the area with the magma blocks right here and then teleport up out of this. You can just smack strider surfers a couple times, throw down your black hole, and they'll get caught. And just do that until you've caught 10 shards. Next up, you have to fuse the elemental shards like we did earlier. Again, a great combination is Mossy Bit with pretty much anything, and you can get your hands on elemental shards. So just do that until you've got 5 of those. Should be pretty easy. And then we can move on to obtain 5 shards using hunt traps. Again, you can get hunt traps from the Tenderwood collection, so try and get your hands on 5 of these. They don't have to be legendary, but the higher rarity, the better. And that one's kind of a time gate. You just got to sit them down and wait until they catch something. It can take up to 10 or 11 hours or longer, depending on the shard that you go for. So I would try and go for something pretty easy like Chill Blades if you're trying to get it done quickly. The next one is one of the hardest quests in the chapter system, obtain 100 shards using a salt. So again, you'll need a salt from the Lush Lilac collection. I recommend the maxed out one, the Exalted Lush Lilac Bonbon. And there's a couple strategies that you'll be able to use for these. We'll start off with the hardest stuff to do, which is going to be taking down the Barbarian Duke, because for this one, you do have to get the last hit. So if you get the last hit on a Barbarian Duke, then you are guaranteed to get a Salt proc. So you can see right there, I just got a Salt guaranteed, and I got 2 shards from it. It will also help you get this quest done faster if you have high Hunter Fortune. So try and get your hands on as much of that as you can from getting Hunter levels and stuff. But you can just lobby swap and just keep grinding out Barbarian Dukes this way and get the shards pretty quickly if you've got a good setup. If you can't handle that, then another good strategy is to get your hands on a couple of equipment pieces, specifically Implosion Belt and Gauntlet of Contagion, and just try and warp around and kill flares. You'll drop shards pretty often. They're still bugged to give like triple the drops and triple the kills. So you have 3 times the chance as killing anything else for killing flares. So if you can handle one-shotting these, that's a good strategy, and you'll get shards pretty often. Just make sure, again, it says Salt at the start. If it says Charm or something like that, then it's not going to count. Another thing you can do is kill the flaming spiders around here if you can't handle the flares, but they're going to be pretty contested a lot of times, so it can be a little bit rough. But if you find a good lobby to do it in, like this one, then be able to get rid of them pretty quickly. If you don't have a good mage setup, though, you got some good Crimson or something like that you can use. It wouldn't be a bad idea to head over to the ghosts area and start grinding them out over here, because ghosts do drop shards as well. So just running around and grinding these is a good idea. But if you can't handle that one either, then the easiest way to do it is just warping over to the spider's den. Just head down into the caves and start killing as many voracious spiders as you possibly can. Just kind of run around in circles and just spam everything with whatever your mage weapon is. Spirit Scepter, Dreadlord Sword, whatever you got your hands on. Hyperion is, of course, the ideal choice, but if you don't have access to that, then anything works. And just focus on killing as many voracious spiders as you can. They do have their own shards, and it is going to take a while to get your hands on 100 of them, but this is the best way to do it if you don't have access to any of those other methods. Next up, we'll have to apply 3 different boosters on the same item. Probably if you've done 100 mango tree gifts by now, you've gotten your hands on quite a few of the Forging Wisdom and Sweep boosters, so you can just throw those on that canopy helmet that we talked about earlier, or just any of your gear. And of course, the Forging Fortune booster that we talked about earlier as well. You can apply it to any of these pieces of armor or equipment or axes in here. So David's Cloak, if you don't have boosters applied to that, is a good way to go. But just get a Sweep, Forging Wisdom booster, and the Forging Fortune booster from this guy, and just apply it on an anvil with an item to get all 3 on the same item. Next up, you'll have to upgrade a beacon, and for this, you'll need to get your hands on Signal Enhancers. These do drop from tree gifts, or you can just get them on the auction house. They're going for about 100k right now, but prices will probably drop a bit as time goes on. But you'll just have to use that on the beacon, and the beacon will pop up with the usual minigame, except this time, instead of just 1 button, it'll be 2 of them. So you'll have 2 lines moving on both rows, and you will have to sync one with the other. So one set of the lines will be enchanted. You have to sync the enchanted ones and the non-enchanted ones. So it's not too much of a challenge, to be honest. And if you're not a BLC user, I believe Sky Handy has a solver for this. So if you have Sky Handy, it should have an option for that from what I've heard, but I don't know about any other mods that have it at the moment. Next up, you have to reach level 4 in Agatha's milestones. So for that, you'll just have to keep grinding out legendaries in contests and get up to level 4 in her milestones. This kind of just happens over time as you're grinding your Heart of the Forest. It can take a while, but you'll get there eventually. Then you have to complete the 10th tier of Brian's challenge, who is so much cooler than Ryan, by the way. So if you're at the beacon, it is just over here towards the village. The village is right there, and we've got Brian here. All you really need for this is to get your hands on a Withercloak sword with Alt-Wise 5 and just get the timing right. Click it right as you stand on the fire. So boom, and I did it too early, and boom, and I did it too bad. You do have to wait for the cooldown to happen, so that's a little bit of something you gotta worry about, but if you time it correctly, you can do it. After that, all you gotta do is reach Heart of the Forest tier 4, which should be easier to do than getting level 4 in Agatha's milestones. So this is probably the one that's going to take the longest to get. But then you can claim all of these nice rewards as well as unlock Chapter 7. So in Chapter 7, there are 18 tasks. It's going to take the longest to finish, and some of these are the worst quests ever. First of which is 500 mangrove tree gifts broken. So you got to break down 500 trees. Then you'll need to get a full set of fig armor, which is unlocked in the fig log collection at level 8, 100,000 collection. You're going to need 24 total fig stones to make the whole set. Then you have to reach 200 sweep, which again, a good way to do that is getting unique attributes for your hunter's cloak, and of course leveling up the abilities on your fig stone splitter to get up to 20 extra sweep. You also need to get your hands on a beacon mite, which hopefully you'll have gotten by this point. You just got to keep doing the beacon quest, and it's a rare drop from those. Or you can actually fuse them. I have a video about forging fusions. I don't remember the exact recipe, but it's in that video. You also have to catch an invisibug. So for this one, you'll need to get your hands on a lasso, of course, and then just looking around the trees here by Brian is honestly a good strategy. There's usually one or two of them sitting here. So there's one right here. They're just these particles that look like the sharpness particles. Throw your lasso at it and you'll catch invisibugs. Then you'll need to get your hands on lumi squids, which again are towards the bottom of the lake here. Just jump off the dock right here past Agatha and then swim down to this section with the endstone, and then in the dripstone area right past it you will find the lumi squids. So just catch them with your net, and once you've caught 10 shards worth of them, you will get the quest completion. After that, you'll have to go for the shellwise, which are the big turtles that you'll find swimming around. Sometimes they'll be over here at the entrance to the drowned area or down by these spikes here. Sometimes they'll even be down in the lumi squid area. A lot of times they'll be gone because they just have a really long respawn time and they're pretty high in demand, so you may just have to lobby swap a little bit until you get your hands on one. But once you find one, it's pretty simple to catch it. Just spam your net on it until it gets caught. Depending on the health, they will give different amounts of shards. So the 1k health ones give the lowest, with the 2k health giving the most, and the 1500 being somewhere in between. But depending on your hunter fortune, it will multiply. So try and find the 2k health ones since they give the most, but they do take longer. You also need to get your hands on 10 joy dive shards. For this one, you just got to go find some joy dives, throw your net at it, and it will start heading towards an underwater cave that's nearby. Just follow it and then wait for it to get there and just cast your net on it until it's caught. Once you got 10 of those, you'll need to go after spikes. And for these, you need to have the maxed out turbo fishing net, because this one has the maximum throw distance, which is what you need. So you'll have to stand pretty far away from the spike and just throw your net at it until it dies. You'll only be doing 10 damage per hit because that is the max, but that's all you really need. It's going to be 15 casts and then you catch them. You can also catch the ones in this underwater cave here through the wall. So if we are up here at Agatha, it's just to the right of her and they're in this cave. So you can just throw your net through the wall and you can see that guy is taking damage from my net right now. So that's a pretty easy way to get your hands on as many spikes as possible. Once you've got 10 of those, we can move on to obtaining 25 shards using a hunt trap. So again, hunt traps are going to be pretty important for this, of course. So make sure that you have the highest level ones you can get. They are in Tinderwood collection and they go up to legendary tier right here. You have up to 5 of them, and it doesn't really matter where you put them, but you'll need to have 25 caught to get this chapter quest completed. After that, you'll need to max out a foraging attribute. So if we do /HB, you can go to hunting box and then filter down to foraging. You can see all the foraging options right here. Spike, of course, is a pretty easy one to go for if you can afford the net. If not, the pandas can be easy, but the berries are definitely the easiest one. You do need 96 of them to max it out, but these are the guys that you'll find while grabbing sea lumies or while opening berry bushes. They're just these little tadpole guys that you can catch with a net. So again, you'll need 96 of them to max that one out. You also need to fuse with a chameleon, which is a rare drop from tree gifts. You'll need 2 of them to fuse. There's a lot of optional fusions that you can do, but one of the better ones is chameleon with an apex dragon to get your hands on a jormung or a dodo. But there's a lot of options out there depending on how much you can afford. If you're trying to get the quest done fast though, I would just fuse it with the highest level shard you have available. Fusing with shiny fish to get your hands on hidden boxes is a pretty good strategy, but again, there's a lot of good ones out there. You also need to obtain a bamboo leaf, a moki bear, and a bambloom. So the bamboo leaves are the ones that give sweep on axe throws. You can catch them from pandas during the spring or the summer. So just look over here on the right side of the screen to see what time of year it is. Right now it's winter, so you'll be able to get your hands on the moki bears, and you can also catch them during the autumn as well. Then to get your hands on bambloons, you just combine either one of those previous shards with an uncommon or higher. So you can use the mossy bits like we have been for a lot of these combinations, because you only need 2 of those shards to combine with to get the bambloom. That's a very easy way to get that quest done. You'll also need to get your hands on a shiniest, which for this you will have to have Agatha's contest milestones all the way up to level 5. So make sure to reach that as soon as you can. It does take a lot of legendary contests to get there though. But once you're there, you can spend 20 Starland prizes, which are 20% drop from legendary contests, to get your hands on a shiniest. You'll need one of these to get your hands on a Jade Dragon later on. But if you're like me and didn't drop 20 Starland prizes by the time you got to Agatha's Contest 5, you can buy them on the auction house. They're a little bit pricey right now though. Now, some of the 3 worst fish that you'll have to get your hands on: Tree the Fish, Fish the Fish, and Mob the Fish. Tree the Fish has a 1 in 2,000 chance to be dropped from tree gifts, so hopefully you'll get your hands on one by the time you get to Agatha level 5, but make sure to save it if you do, because you're going to need that for the final quest that we'll talk about in a minute. But you also need to get your hands on a Fish the Fish. This one's also a 1 in 2,000 chance, but it can only be caught from fishing. It is a great catch, so you want to make sure that you are going for treasure fishing, not sea creature fishing. But one that you can use sea creature fishing on is finding a Mob the Fish. So this one can be found from any mob on Galatea, including sea creatures. So what I did was I got a squad of like 5 people together. They were all fishing and I was killing the mobs. Unfortunately, it does not count for whoever spawns the mob, only whoever kills the mob. So ideally you'd get a group of 5 or so and start taking turns. One person starts killing all the mobs until they get the drop, and then one other person kills all the mobs until they get the drop, and just keep grinding it out that way. But if you can't get a group to do it, probably just killing chill blades is the best strategy. But like the others, it is a 1 in 2,000 chance, so good luck getting your hands on it. I don't believe it's affected by magic find at all, so could take a while. But you also need 15 different fish to give to the coral NPC, which again is across from Agatha right over here. If we head over to the red building, you'll be able to talk to her and get access to 15 of these fish. I did make a video recently about how to find all of the fish, so make sure to check that out, because you're going to need 12 more on top of the 3 that we just found. But once you've done that, you'll have access to the final set of rewards from chapter 7. Gives a couple of shards. One of those chameleon shards you'll get back, which is nice. But really the big thing you get out of this, 20,000 Heart of the Forest XP, is nothing to scoff at. And my personal favorite, 35 SkyBlock XP. But that is how you complete all of Hina's quests. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to drop a like, smash the sub button. We'll have more guys coming out as more updates drop. And make sure to let me know what guys you want in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching to the end, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.